Right out there with Jennings Devastator. I bought this back in 1986, 87 when it first came out. This is the 125-pound pool model. I've done several things to it through the years. It had a metal stirrup on it with a big giant handle, and I took all that off and just put this piece of wood on here to keep your fingers from getting up in here to give it a good hold. Also, that big metal stirrup was attached to the handle, the big fat handle, and so I wound up just putting a rope on it for a cocking stirrup. Works just fine. Also, I took this is a quickie quiver, and I mounted a piece of wood on here so it would center the quiver on the bow. That way when you lean it up against something, your nocks aren't in the dirt, you can lean it up against something on either side. It had a little tiny peep on it, and I bored the peep out to about 1/4 of an inch so you can just get a better field of view. You can still center it, and it's very accurate. You can see it out there. This is what I'm looking at. It does have a little bit of fiber optic sight on it, and it glows pretty good. Looking through it, I don't know if I'd bring it up there. You might not be able to see it through there, but you can see that glow. And it actually came out with 2219 shafts. I experimented around, and I came up with a 2117, and it weighs about 570 grains. Shooting a shark. Cinnamon shark weighs about 190 grains. 23-inch arrow, maybe 23 and a half, I can't remember exactly. But one of the awesome things about this is that you can actually cock it by hand very easily. It's got such a long power stroke on it, it still shoots very fast for a 570 grain arrow. Shoots about 230. A lot of people say, "Hey, very fast." Well, when you're shooting 570 grains, it is. A lot of crossbows are shooting 400, 450, 380. So, I'm going to chronograph this thing. I can shoot 3-inch groups with this all day long at 30 yards. So, 230 feet per second, it's got about 66 foot-pounds of energy. And I'll take a shot here and see what the chronograph is. "236 feet per second. Another modification I made on it. These old bows, and even the newer ones, when they have any kind of screws on them, they tend to work their way out because these bows vibrate so much. The main ones that were working their way out was on the stock here, so I just drilled a hole through them and put bolts in to hold the stock on. And this actually, there's a scope rail that mounts up here on the sights. It comes back at a rail here, and then there's 2 pieces that come around this side that you can actually put a scope on it. And I may do that at some point. But I'll also put these limb saver sound reduction pieces on there, pieces of foam. You might be able to glue some flip-flops, cut up a piece of flip-flop and put it on each side to reduce some of the sound. It's going to be loud, even a quiet crossbow loud, especially back in the day. So aim low, lower 1/3, and you'll take them home. Also, on the front, I used to have 2 wire prongs, and I went with a whisker biscuit and just simply drilled holes up here and put the whisker biscuit in. That way it doesn't rattle around or fall off the prong rest, and you can turn it this way or that way and it's still inside the whisker biscuit, nice and quiet and very accurate. So, I've got a 175 grain field tip on there and a 12 grain washer, number 10 washer behind it. And I might have 2 on there, 1 or 2, to get it up to 200 grains. I guess 2. So that'd be 24 grains. Plus 175. So there you go. It's a little bit heavy. Of course, it's wide. They're all going narrow today, but the technology of this was state of the art back in the day. And this is not this right here. It has to have a heavy arrow, but it's got a power stroke. A lot of the arrows today on crossbows are 16, 18, 20 inches. There's a few 22. This is 23, 23 and a half. Much longer power stroke, and it's only 125 pound pull, but it's shooting 236 feet per second, a 570 grain arrow. There you go. Let's shoot to 200 degree field point. $237 feet per second.